What is up? What is up? We are live on YouTube, I guess. So I'm actually using a streaming software. So we'll see how this is working out. I do have a question on where wait, here we go, comments are. So if you happen to pop on here, go ahead and drop a "I'm here" comment to see if it comes through into this software. Because I'm just curious. Because then I'll just do it this way. This is much easier. And I'll check over here as well. Let's see right now what happens. Drop a comment if you are here, just so I know. I don't care if it's nobody here or one person here. I just want to see if I see comments. There's one live viewer, so drop me a comment, please. You know what? Whatever. I'm probably live. So, what I'm going to do is go through a little bit of what I talked about on yesterday's video. I did a hot seat with one of our students. The guy's got 6 clients. I think he's got like $3,000 a month in recurring revenue, I believe, with the 6 clients. And one of his main things was he wants to go faster, right? And so some people may say like faster, scale. People like to use, fancy words. But the reality is he just wants to grow, okay? He wants to go from making, I don't know, $3,000 a month to $20,000 a month, I'm assuming, right? And I believe he's doing it part-time from what I can remember. And one of the things that I'll talk about in if you watch the video, if you didn't watch the video, essentially like he thought he had more of a problem than he really did. And what I discussed with him was essentially creating, in the business world, we like to call it SOPs, but the reality is, it's just like your roadmap, right? So if you want to set up reputation management, when you set it up for every single one of your clients, you're doing it the same way. And so what tends to happen is that people, they essentially what they think is that it should be different for different clients. But the reality is that the setup is always the same. Always. And so if you know that, our brains are wired in a way where we love to self-sabotage ourselves. I've done it multiple times in my own business. Like when we were crushing when ads were unbelievable, where you could like put $1 in and get $20 back. Back in the day, a couple of years ago, where it was like very easy to acquire clients just by running paid traffic. There were days where I was like I feel guilty, like I feel like I need to be doing something, and we'd have 20, 30, up to $60,000, $70,000 in sales days. Okay. And then it was like, let's join a mastermind, let's see if we can get to $1 million a month. And then we join a mastermind and somebody there says, hey, you're using at the time ClickFunnels. Do you know that if you move over to Infusionsoft, like to email, like you're going to land, like their IP addresses are better. And what did we do? We listened. They were in a mastermind, right? They knew better. And we made a transition technology-wise and spent 6 months, 3 months doing it, and then another 3 months going back, right? And we actually never got our deliverability as good as we ever had it prior to moving. We ruined everything. Then we moved over to Active Campaign and didn't realize that our broadcast lists that we were sending emails to was literally not updating. So we were emailing on a broadcast. It was like 9 months before we caught it. Like people that didn't even engage until 9 months ago. And then we were on the blacklist and lost our domain that we were emailing from. We tend to self-sabotage ourselves. That's the entire point of this. And so the best thing to do is when you're offering services to people, you want to productize it. Meaning like when somebody uses a product, they grab it and use it. And so your service should be a product that you can grab and use. like a tool. And the best way to do that is by having like checklists, SOPs, a roadmap that says, oh, when this client pays me, my first step to do is collect payment. My second step to do is tag them customer in my CRM or slide them over to sold. My third step to do is create them a sub account, get them a phone number, a tracking phone number, like step by step, and you list it out and you print it out, and that's now your checklist. Because the next time somebody comes, you no longer have to think, you can just do. And by the way, then when you don't feel like doing the dirty work, you hand it off to a VA and says, hey, I'm going to internally notify you when I land a new client, and here are the steps that you are going to take to, let's say, onboard them or set up reputation management for them. Like you could have a $3 to $5 an hour employee handle the setup of 90% of your agency. So when he said that to me, when he said, no, I just want to like get them results faster, the results faster comes from setting them up faster. It comes from having a roadmap to be able to go faster. Okay? That is the one thing that you need. Now, the title of this, or I don't remember what I put, like the one thing that you need to scale, that is assuming that you know how to get clients. Ow, I just bit my cheek. That you know how to get clients, because most people don't, right? If you're there, give me a comment that you don't know how to get clients. I have a feeling that you guys are not going to give me a comment, and it's hurting my feelings. But maybe nobody's here, like always. I do get views after I'm done. But I think I'm supposed to set these up like a week in advance so people know, and then they can click like, notify me. I think that is the problem. I think that is the main problem. That is probably the problem. 4 views, 5, no comments. See, you guys don't want to comment. Anyway, there's 5 of you there. You guys don't want to comment. I don't understand. Like, give me a little love over here. Just say, hey, say what's up. All right. And so, yeah, so it comes down to those kind of, all right, I'll take a thumbs up. I got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. At least I know that you hear me and I'm live and everything's working. All right. And so, somebody made a comment yesterday and they said, on that video, this doesn't help me, sir. Right? I don't know if it was a bot or whatever, but it probably wasn't actually. And that's because there's levels of help, right? All right, Krish. There's levels of help. So I want you to think about a dental student, right? Somebody that's going to school and they're undergraduate, they get into the dentist program and it's their first year. And then they say, when they learn, anatomy and all these things, and they say, sir, this doesn't help me do a root canal, right? Well, yeah, because you're not at the point to do a root canal. Like, you still got years left to learn. Then you got to sit with a dentist and watch them and practice on the teeth and practice doing a root canal, practice doing cavities, practice doing surgery on like mannequins, or this might sound crazy, or cadavers. Believe me, that I don't know if the dentist industry does that, but I do know that like medical devices, like screws and stuff like that, yeah, they're literally practicing on cadavers. Not to sound horrifically morbid. And so think about the training that goes into anything. And so I want to kind of, and for people that's going to be watching the replays or whatever, like I want you to think of where you are in your agency journey. People start out and their biggest struggle is landing a client. That is their biggest struggle, always will be in the beginning. When you perfect, I don't want to use the word perfect. No, I do want to use the word perfect is good, because when you have a process in place for prospecting and it becomes predictable and you know that it's just a numbers game. I have a case study on my YouTube channel I did a while ago where one of our students just loved to cold call. And he knew if I just did 100 cold calls a day, I was going to land 1 or 2 clients or at least have them in my pipeline every day. And he was like, that's what motivated me. But then you have people that say, well, James, I made 500 cold calls over the course of a month. Why aren't my numbers the same? Well, your numbers aren't the same because you're not. I learned this in the multi-level marketing space. It's the law of large numbers, and it's condensed in time. So the law of large numbers plays itself out when condensed in doing it in a short amount of time. It doesn't play, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it's more about like the universe or God or kind of rewarding you for the work that you're doing. I'm not to sound like, I don't know, la la land, but I do believe in that, right? And so when you're doing 500 calls, cold calls in a week, okay, you're in such a rhythm that your tonality changes, and you're excited, right? You're excited about doing it because you've already said, I'm going to do it in a week. Like, this is my goal, and if I reach my goal, I'm going to be happy no matter what the outcome is, but I set a goal. Now, if you're like, well, I'm going to do 20 today, and then I'm going to take the weekend off, and then I'm going to do 5, and then I'll do 300 on one day, and then I'll do 5, and then there's no the time lapse. Like, it needs to be condensed and consistent. So 100 a day, you might not land a client in the first week, but it's not about the 500 total. It's about doing 100 day for 5 days a week for a month. And then what ends up happening is that you could go 0 for 1,000 and then go 10 for 500. Does that make sense? Like, the law of large numbers you don't get to choose what those law of large numbers are. Like, you don't get to choose that. You have to play the numbers and take what it gives you. So it has to be condensed in time and consistent. You could do 20 cold calls a day, 5 days a week for years. And eventually the law of large numbers will play. Like, you could go 20 for 20 if you go 0 for 2,000. That is how it is. You are laying seeds and getting better the more you do it. And eventually as you get better, you don't even realize you're getting better. And by the way, I'm using cold calling as like an example, but it's like, me personally would never do it. I never have done it. And I did it I cold called, not in the agency space, in the medical space. I cold called like 15,000 hospitals and halfway houses. And I mean, it was ridiculous. I did it in like 6 months. And I actually that's what got me to step out of my comfort zone and actually gave me the skills to be able to just not cold call, but like talk to prospects about this business. It gave me the reps. And I'm not saying you have to do 15,000 cold calls. God help you if you like it. Maybe you like it. But like stockbrokers, right? Back in the day, I still think they do. It's just like dial, man. Like, you just dial and you're going to hit one. So when it comes to anyway, if you're in that phase, your beginning phase of just starting this agency, understanding that you need to prospect. Like, you'll never get out. You'll never need to know how to scale. You'll never need to know how to fulfill. You'll never need to know how to use Go High Level. You'll never need to know anything if you can't land a client. Anything. Like, if you don't have a client, what is the point of everything else? I get the biz op virality of a tool, right? Go High Level, or even like ClickFunnels, like all these tools, like they tie biz op to it because it reaches a broader audience. I get it. But the tool doesn't make you money. A funnel doesn't make you money without a client. Without a client. You could be hired to build a funnel, but that would be what? That would be a client, right? You could white label, or not white label. You could have an agency hire you to build their funnel, but the agency is your client. So if anybody has a way to build a business without clients, I'd love to hear it, but I know that's not the reality. And so most people, by the way, I'm still going on about the person who said this doesn't help me. That's because it doesn't help people who don't have clients or can't get clients, right? And so eventually when you learn how to get clients, then you run into problems where you say, all right, it's taking me too long. And the fulfillment aspect of this is like driving me crazy. Oh man, you know what? I couldn't figure out why my finger was killing me. Now I know why. I pinched it. And so, every step of the way, there's always problems that need to be solved. So beginning, landing clients. People think that it's other things, right? Like people think it's like, I don't understand Go High Level. This is why I'm struggling. No, it's not that. You could land a client and have somebody else do all the work. I mean, we have tons of our students who like literally all they do is pound the phones and pass their clients off to somebody else in our community to do the work. Matter of fact, we have part of our program is called the Lazy Agency, where it's like, hey, if all you want to do is fulfill, well, the other people that are part of that will like, all I want to do is sell. It's like, perfect. Then let's just split it. You sell, I'll fulfill. And we go through like how to set that up because everybody has a strength. And some people love to sell and don't want to do the fulfillment. And so, as you go through these pillars or these layers of what you're accomplishing, you run into another problem. So if you have somebody to fulfill, you can land clients. Now it's scaling. I want to get more of them. I know how to get more of them, but I'm worried because I'm already overwhelmed. Well, that's what I talked about with John. Can't remember, he has a surname, Jean. I talked about creating a process for when you land a client. Then you can hand that process off to somebody else to do the work. Then it's going to come down to, okay, I now have 10 clients. I'm bringing in $12,000, $13,000 a month in retainers. It's still a lot of work. I don't want to split my business for the fulfillment, but I've been fulfilling. So now you're going to create a process for all the fulfillment so you can hand the fulfillment off, not to split your business, but you can hand the fulfillment off to somebody to run your rep management, like a VA or somebody, who just that concentrates on reputation management. And so you just run into these problems. And then I see like, I see a lot of ads in regards to like selling people who are stuck at like 10,000. And I'll be honest with you, like the fastest way to go from like 10 to 50,000 is literally being a doctor for your client and making sure that you're in a niche where a client could afford $4,000 or $5,000 a month, because 10 clients at $5,000 a month is $50,000 a month. I rather have 10 clients at 5,000 and literally like become their best friend and take care of them and go out to dinner with them, right? And again, if you're new, you have to build up to this. Then have 50 clients at $1,000 a month. There's no way I could become close to 50 people. And when you become close to people, there's a sense of reciprocity. There's a sense of like, he's bringing me money, but I could survive without it. I don't know if I want that bill. And it's like, yeah, that's my boy. They've done so much they helped me grow, right? And so relationships create retention. And you could sit back and just like service those clients and not have to worry about getting more clients. I mean, it's always good to like at least bring in 4 or 5 new ones a year, but most of those 10 will refer you to others. So these are the levels of problems. But most people, 97% of them are at the, and there are millions of people who've tried to start their own agency. And if I would guess that, I mean, just by the sheer numbers of people who've come into my program, have come into, some of the other popular programs like Iman Ghazi and Jordan Platten and I don't know. There's other couple big ones. Like you could figure like, I mean, I think Iman has like sold 50,000 people his course. Let's just assume over the course of the last 10 years, 5 million people wanted to start an agency, right? Industry average, like I'm not saying my program or their program, I'm just going to say industry as a whole average, because there's some programs that provide enough for the success rate to be higher, because 90% of people don't do anything. They don't even get through the first 5 videos, and I know that for a fact because I can see it. You have to figure that 5 out of 5 million, let's call it a 3% success rate. I mean, that is every business in the history of business. That's 150,000 people who actually got some sort of success out of starting their own agency. And so when people talk to me about saturation, they're like, oh, it's saturated. It's all over the internet. Everybody's starting their own agency. It's like, dude, you have no idea. You got no idea that people don't want to better themselves. They want a better life, but they don't want to improve. And so that's why they jump to the next opportunity, because as marketers, I learned this a long time ago. If you guys want to get into something, I mean, nobody's asked me questions, so I'm just gonna go off on the whim here. That's what I do on my Wednesday YouTube lives. I made a couple notes here. Nobody wants to improve themselves. They just want to find a better opportunity. And I want you to think about that, because if anybody's watching this, like some of you guys are probably, you know, if I said who suffers with shiny object syndrome, you're all going to be like, oh yeah. Oh, man, I don't know what I should do. Should I start an AI agency? Should I just do lead generation? Like, should I start, some e-com? I heard TikTok Shop is like going crazy now. Maybe that's my calling. Maybe I'll hit it there, or maybe e-com or Amazon FBA or MLMs, or everybody will always jump to the next opportunity, because 98% of people do not want to improve themselves, and therefore all they want to do is jump to the next opportunity because they believe that one is going to make them want to improve themselves. And then they're just going to jump to the next one. When it gets a little hard, just going to jump to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And it never ends. It's a vicious cycle. It's scary as hell. By the way, I talk to you guys on the same level, as a lot of people who are watching this, because I did it for 7 years. I just want everybody to understand this. I chased. I was part of Primerica, trying to recruit. Well, not trying. I did actually pretty freaking good in college. But when you're in college, man, you got nothing but time. And so, I was able to, recruit college kids, which aren't the best things in the world. And essentially, anyway, I did it for years. Okay, that was in college, and then I just got a job and did nothing for years, 7, 8, 9 years, and then tried something for 7 years. It wasn't until I was like 34 years old that I finally said, all right, I think I have a big enough why with a wife and a kid, and I can't afford my mortgage, and I better do something. Chris, you heard me say AI implementation course for your school group. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you have Go High Level. I mean, honestly, people like to what's the word I'm looking for? Make AI more complicated than it is, when the reality is, like with Go High Level, you could insert an AI agent, an AI employee with simplicity, a couple clicks of a button. I mean, I am going to put it in there, but like the trainings are going to be like 10 minutes a piece. It literally doesn't What's more important, and this will be in the training, what's more important is how do you sell it? That's the most important thing. Because just like you guys, like myself, business owners also think the same way. And so they're good at their business, and they will also buy shit. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Over and over and over again. They'll change marketers because most marketers can't get them results. So they'll just jump from shiny object to shiny object. But what I love, yes, when I say shiny and I mention AI, I don't mean to say like you should not include AI in your agency. I mean, I have. I mean, tons of my students have. And with Go High Level, you literally don't need much training. It's the selling of it that's the most important thing. Business owners need to have that epiphany of why they even need it. That's the main thing. And I could actually write this down. I could do a live, training on AI. Next week I can't be going live. Actually, my business partner in our coaching group is going to be away next week, so I will be going live with my students on YouTube, so you guys can hang around and see kind of the things that we talk about. But I could maybe shoot for like middle of March for this. Grip and rip shorts. Yeah, I mean, I don't. What's the best way to say this? There is no right or wrong. Like there really isn't. There's knee to knee over the phone, over Zoom. I mean, there's no right or wrong way. In the beginning, I did meet face to face. I was working more like I had a mortgage loan officer that, he was like more of like a polished suit every day, and he's like, "Yeah, come. We'll put it. We'll whatever you're selling, we'll put it on the big screen. I'll have my team there." And so like some people are like that, and other people like myself, if I'm buying a solution to something in my business, I'm like, "Yo, like, can we make this quick? I'll be able to tell right away if this is going to work or not. Can we make it quick?" And so, yeah, I'd rather not meet people in person, but it's good. It's not bad. And not meeting people in person is good too, and not bad. There's no right or wrong. Recorded sales call for AI. Yeah, I mean, I have a sales team, so I could ask them if they care. Barry, I mean, do you need an LLC? No, but this is and tell me if I'm wrong. I know I'm not wrong. For me, the first thing that I did when I was getting to this business, April of 2014, I'll never forget the day. I'll never forget the Facebook ad. I'll never forget why I did it. I'll never forget who I spoke to. And there's a whole story about that. Matter of fact, I was just writing emails about it. And the first thing I did was went and got an LLC. First thing. Now, I was a little bit different than a lot of people because I've already had an LLC for my 6-unit apartment building that I bought in 2005 when you could actually afford apartment complexes. And I think that was a time where it was like 5% down. Like it was ridiculous. You could get a mortgage even if you made $40,000 a year. It was okay. And I bought a condo like 2 months later. Thank God for that time because that building has been paying me for a long time and has helped me out at the times where I needed it. And so like for me, it was like I knew the process of creating an LLC. And so if I wanted this new opportunity to be real, I need it to be real. Like that's how I think. We don't say it's a necessity because it does cost money. And if you're starting, like, do you want to spend money and blah, blah, blah. And so for me, that I called it Universal Marketing Associates, LLC. That's what I called it because my best friend owns a sporting goods store called Universal Sporting Goods. So I was like, I'll just call it Universal Marketing Associates. And that's what it felt real to me. In addition, and I'm not an accountant, so you could talk to your accountant. And Barry, I don't know if you're in the U.S. or not. In addition, if you open up an LLC, and you do any sort of business related activities toward that LLC, maybe you pay for Go High Level or whatever, ClickFunnels, whatever, even if you have no income, you could take a loss on that K1. And I'm not an accountant. Please go see your accountant. But I will tell you that just having an LLC, an active one, filing taxes for it, even if you have no income, and you met with 10 clients and you bought them dinner and it was $400 total and you had to pay for a domain, blah, 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 and you spent $1,000, well, you get a write-off for $1,000. You're going to do it anyway, so why not do it under an LLC? San Diego, California. The only thing that I will tell you about California is the weather is unbelievable, and I totally understand why people stay there. I totally get it. Outside of that, I don't know if I would. The taxes, man, the taxes. All right, I'm planning on doing the Liam method to get my first client. I've got a 2-page setup for HVAC and used your PPC ad video to set up. Should I call the business? Should I call the business in advance? Just starting sending leads and call later in the week. Yeah. So Andy, I'll be honest with you. Here's what I will tell you. The way I did it was I put a whisper on the phone number, on the tracking number, forwarded it to that business without ever calling them. Jason, my business partner, hated that I do that and hated that I was teaching it that way, and I get where they're coming from. It worked out for me. It did. I did it my town is like 100,000 people. And so it's not small. It's not enormous. Maybe it's not 100. Maybe it's like 60,000 people. And so there's also a small town feel. And so like I had like icebreakers where I'd be like, hey, this is James. I live in Wayne, things like that. And people would be like, oh, where do you live in Wayne? So I had icebreakers ready for it. It's like, hey, have you been getting my leads? And a lot of times they would say, yeah, I actually was curious of who the hell you are. And then I'd laugh and, that's how I kind of broke the ice. Not the problem. I will say this, not the problem. The problem that I had was, and many people don't believe me, I just freaking feared cold calling people. Like I really, really did. And when I sent the leads, all that was for was, and it was just a mind thing. I only did it that way because when I knew they were getting the leads, I knew they were answering, I knew they were, maybe talked to the person or booked a job or whatever because I could hear it. And so it made me feel like I had more ammo because typically when I heard the word no, I hung up the phone. I hated it. I just was really, really bad at just like being able to pound the phone. And so you have to sell. What's the best way to say this? You have to sell without any result. Which is fine, by the way, because a lot of people are fine with that. They're like, it's whatever. How is it even really selling? Because I'm telling them I'm going to do this and it's going to be free. And most of the time they say, okay, like they're confused. They're like, okay, if you want to, right? And so I just didn't want to sell before I showed the value. I wanted to show the value and then I sold. Michael Ray, selling free websites. I mean, it works, yeah. I'll come back to that in just a second. Yeah, so Barry, by the way, okay, this is perfect. I wish I would have mentioned this before I read your comment, because this was point number 2 of why I also did the leads in advance. It was to prove to myself that I could actually get the results. So those were the 2 reasons. I felt more comfortable having a conversation with results in my hand, as well as I sure as hell felt a lot more comfortable when I knew that I could deliver, even if I could deliver 1 freaking lead, 2 leads, I didn't even care. It was something, right? And by the way, just to give you some context, I had a pain management doctor. It was a referral. So I didn't really have to sell. And I remember, and it was a friend of mine that referred me to this guy in Brooklyn. So he sets up this meeting, and I think I had maybe one client. I wasn't good at fulfilling, but I knew I could turn to somebody else to do the fulfillment. Okay, even if it was like what was the name of that SEO company, the Hosh or the Hosh or something like that. At least I could send reports. So that's all I cared about. I was like, okay, whatever. I don't even care if I make any money. So, and by the way, this, for those of 5 of you that are watching, this is going to, this is going to give you confidence right now. So me and my buddy drive. He was selling them, the guy was a pain management doctor. He also just built a wellness center on top of the pain management. And he was a client of my buddy's. And I think I maybe built my buddy Rick a website. And so he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, maybe I can make some money. You refer me. You give me money. Give me 10% or whatever. I was like, yeah, well, whatever. And so he was like gung-ho. He's like, I'm going to come with you. He's like, I got to go there anyway. So we go there. I walk in. There's 20 patients in his office. Now, I want you to remind you that this was like around like the time where doctors were like really pushing pills, like pain pills. It was toward the end of this. So there's like 20 patients in the office, and 10 of them do not look like, they do not look good. Like they came off the street. You knew why they were there. And so I come in and he says, hey, go upstairs and I'll meet you up there in about 20 minutes. So I go upstairs. I walk into this wellness center. I mean, the guy must have spent $1 million on this wellness center. And so I go down and I sit there. And I didn't even really know, like I had an idea of like what I was going to say, because I had a client, a mortgage loan officer that I was doing work with. And it actually was going pretty well. Like we were able to get them rent. This was the time where I was like doing all the SEO work, and we were able to like rank them a little bit. And so I had some sort of result. And so we sit down at the table. The guy comes up, him and his wife. And he looks at me and he says, this is exactly what he said. He goes, I'm on month 11 with X, Y, and Z company, Redfin or Vipe. I can't remember what it was. Red something, right? Red something. A big marketing company. He's like, I'm on month 11. He's like, so I can't do anything now with you because like I'm not going to pay for them and pay for you. And I was like, okay, at least I don't have to try to sell you today. And he says to me, I've been paying them $2,800 a month for 11 months. And I have not heard once from the guy who met me here. I have not gotten one report from them. And I'm talking about, this is a big company, like commercials. Like I seen commercials from them. Not one company and not one lead, nothing. I've got nothing from them. What makes you different? And I was like, oh my God. And I looked at him and I said, I'll tell you what. What if I send you a few leads first? Because the few leads are going to be more than 11 months of no leads. And then you'll see why I'm different. And he's like, deal. So the point here is that most businesses, and I know a lot of you are not going to believe this, most businesses think they need to hire corporations, big agencies, fancy people, until they do. And then they realize, I have no personal touch. I have no personal relationship. I don't even know who to call. I don't want to be transferred to a 1-800 number, press 5, then have to speak to, some lady in another country, and then a callback comes in 48 hours. You think that's what they want, but they don't want that. Sorry, I'm running out of All right. The same fear. I would rather spend the ad money for. Yeah, exactly. How does the HIPAA for doctors work? $300 per sub account. Michael L. Ray. I actually don't know. So I'll give you an example. So let's actually, because I'm coming off of pain management, which is a doctor. Go High Level, were they out? Yeah, I think Go High Level just came out then. But he was never concerned about HIPAA because I wasn't. So remember what HIPAA is? Obviously, it's the privacy, right? But that is only if you're storing their medical data. So let's say you have a survey. Actually, even a survey won't even store it. I'm trying to think of like what. So I could have a pain management doctor be running ads for them, get their name, email, and phone, and maybe like, do you have back pain? Yes. Are you taking any medications? No. Can we call you? Yes. That doesn't have to be HIPAA compliant. I'm not storing their. Now, if I sold Go High Level, which I wouldn't ever, the doctors have their own HIPAA compliant CRM. Anyway, if I sold Go High Level to a pain management doctor and they stored all of their client data in there, medications that they take, their doctor's information, then it needs to be HIPAA compliant. But if you're running ads for a pain management doctor and you're asking them 5-6 questions that has nothing to do with what medications they take, then you don't have to be HIPAA compliant. And most people run ads for doctors. All they're collecting is name, email, and phone just to get their lead in, and then, they call them or whatever. It doesn't have to be. Now, you may run into some doctors that are like, I don't care. What is that? I don't care. I just rather it be HIPAA compliant. Then you just say, okay, it's $300 more a month. I believe HIPAA compliance is. Let me see if I can look. Maybe somebody here knows. Oh God, I get hiccups. Where is the marketplace? Why can't I find this? Oh, maybe it might be per sub account, by the way. I don't know. I can't find it on here. I never used it. Where is this HIPAA compliance tab? I don't really know. Oh, compliance. Here we go. Oh, all right. Here we go. So it's for your whole agency. So unlimited. So $297 a month for HIPAA compliance for all sub accounts. So, I mean, at that point, if you're going after that that niche, then it might just be worth just to have it just in case. E-Dog in the house. E-Dog. E-double-D. All right. You guys have any more questions before I jump off? I feel like I'm losing my voice. So next week, I'll be going live on YouTube with, I don't know, coaching students, I guess. That's what I was told. And then I'll see if I can do some sort of AI the following week. So yeah, so Michael, that's pretty good. I'm thinking of free websites that pay the hosting for a foot in the. I mean, yeah, Michael, you could do that because of Go High Level at the $497 level, they give you the templates. You don't want to spend all that time and money on building a website. They have these. You could even AI can build it for you. But yeah, absolutely. I think I talked about that 2 videos ago. Website arbitrage. You can use that as a foot in the door. But I don't like, I think you originally said like, oh yeah, I'll do a website and then I get paid on the hosting and stuff. But it's just not enough money. It's just not. As long as you have a process in place for upselling. And just to circle back, so here, let's circle back on this to finish this off. So we were talking about SOPs, right? And that's why if you have if you're a student of mine, of course you get this and much more. But if you have if you use my link for Go High Level under a trial, you get access to this course right here. And it's a Go High Level training course. But the cool thing is that you get to like also learn how to launch a lead gen campaign. Let's say you're running ads. And remember what I talked about creating an SOP? Well, let's say you land a client and they want lead gen. They want you to run Facebook ads. So the first thing you need to do is set up, or pay-per-click. The first thing you want to do is set up, I have HVAC here, but it could be any niche. Set up a sub-account, right, from scratch. You could use a snapshot that's for students. Add a phone number. Try to get them A2P compliant if they're a client. You could forward it, lead connector app, check the country, edit all business information. So I have a checklist for everything that you need to do to generate or to put up a lead gen. Rep management. Same thing with rep management, right? You have a checklist on how to set up rep management. How to add it, like our snapshot, because we have a snapshot for rep management. It's different than the out-of-the-box one. And so this would be the SOP. And that's how you scale with speed and not get bogged down by trying to think of what you need to do for every single client. Anyway, if you're interested in that, the link is down below in the description, and I will see you next week live and a new video on Tuesday. See you guys on the flip side, but I don't really know how to finish this right here.